What's up, what's up? Looks like we are live here on Facebook. All right, let me turn the volume off on this thing so I don't hear it. All right, how you guys doing? Been traveling across the country, having fun, hanging out in Nashville, doing deals, going on appointments, hiring new sales reps, bunch of stuff going on. So I'm excited to re-engage with you guys. So this is a combination of a coaching call that we do every other Wednesday and Facebook Live, where we're getting a lot of new people to be able to be able to join us to kind of see what we do on the coaching calls and answer questions and stuff like that. So Aaron, can you shut that door, please, if you don't mind? All right, so if you're joining us here on Facebook, just let me know where you guys are from. I greatly appreciate it as people join on here. Yeah, so what's up, what's up? You got Michael Lopez on here, George is on here. So let me know where you guys are from. I greatly appreciate it. Am I seeing, I just want to make sure I'm seeing comments okay. So mine isn't working. We got Southern California on here. Los Angeles, Denver, Phoenix 8, Z, Patrick Battle, what's up? Lincoln. We got Georgia. Can't get mine to work. I'm here from Ocala, Florida. What's up, Zach? Houston, Texas. I wonder, how am I able to see all the comments? Because I'm only just seeing the first ones that pop up. Alabama, Chicago, Northern California, North Carolina, Atlanta. Cool. Actually, I'm flying out to Atlanta on Sunday. Check out some stuff. Maryland, New Jersey, Los Angeles. What's up, Kevin? New York. Cool, cool. Frisco, Texas. I wonder how there's a way to see all the comments. I'm going to try to. Comments on here. St. Louis. I wonder if I can do this. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm listening. Okay, boom. So that, I wonder if the ones they come up on top. Okay, just join. Cool. Video is working. Okay, sounds good, guys. We are all good. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? First off, if you could do me a huge favor, everybody listening right now, Chris.
My thumb slipped.
We're using actually a cool little thing called, what is this thing called?
Mevo.
It's called Mevo. It's a way to do live broadcast, and it's fun. We're getting to learn the technology of it right now, which is pretty cool. I'm going to try to zoom this in. Oh, cool. So we got Brian Lee joined. Okay. Someone said no volume. Turn up your volume on your computer so you guys can hear and see me okay. We got Tampa, Florida. It sounds like we're good. All right. So today we're going to talk about objections. I've got the 16 deal-killing objections we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the framework. And here's the deal, is that when it comes to getting deals from motivated sellers, we're marketing for motivated sellers, whether you're using Google AdWords, whether you're using direct mail, whether you're using RVM, whatever source you're doing to essentially get leads coming in from motivated sellers, you're going to meet with a motivated seller. And here's the thing when it comes with motivated sellers. Motivated sellers are in a situation. Now think about this. Think about a seller that is going to sell their house, right, at 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar, right? 40 to 50 cents on the dollar. If they're going to sell their house at 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar, something has to be going on in their life to be able to do that. And a lot of it is procrastination, whether it be financial, whether they inherited a house or whatever the case may be. So when it comes to now them making a decision, a massive decision to sell their property, what happens is people give an objection because they don't want to make that decision. So it's for us as the professional to be able to recognize that objection, overcome that objection, and move them to making a decision in an eloquent way where you're not beating them up, right? So we're going to talk about that process of taking a seller that says no, right? A seller that says no. I just got a contract on a property that we're going to do a fix and flip on. The seller told me no, that he is not going to make a decision today. He's not going to sign the contract today, and he's not in a rush. That's what he told me, right? That's what he told me going in. When I first met him at the appointment, he just said basically, I just want to let you know I'm not going to come off on my price. I'm not going to sign a contract today, and I'm not in a rush. That was our first day. Hey, my name's Sean. How you doing? Your name Thomas? Great. I'm not in a rush. I'm not going to sign the contract today, and I'm not coming off my price. Okay, nice to meet you too. Let's go look at the house, right? So how would you handle that? So what happens is overcoming those objections and moving a seller from the point of I'm not going to do business with you or I'm signing the contract or make a decision to actually getting the contract is the entire business. That's what we do. And if you can master this one thing, it will change everything. Why? Because if you get more deals per lead, if you go from 1 in 25, anybody can get 1 in 25. Anybody that's brand new in the business, you send marketing out, you can get one seller out of 25 is going to be so motivated, you cannot screw up that motivated seller. But how do you get 2 in 25, 3 in 25, 5 in 25, right? And take that number where it's now 1 in 10. You get 1 in 13. And to reduce that number on the amount of contracts, per leads is the business. That's where you can make massive jumps, because here's the deal. If your marketing stays the same, your marketing budget stays the same, you get the same amount of leads coming in, but your conversion goes higher because you're able to overcome these objections, then your profitability goes through the roof. And that's what we're talking about. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go through these 16 objections, and also I am going to give you this. I'm going to give you these 16. I'm going to give these. I'm going to give you a place where you can actually download this script, right? And I'm telling you, knowing this and studying it and learning it and understanding it and being able to just immediately repeat it off the top of your head is gold, right? And I guess my mission for this call is I want you guys to make more money, right? I want you guys to have leads coming in and being able to move a seller to make a decision, and then you can get a deal and you can make more money in your business by the same leads, using the same amount of leads that are coming in and generating a profit. So if you could do me a favor, if you could share, just click the little share button right there. If you could share this with your audience or whatever, I greatly appreciate it. If you could go in and just click the share button and share that, it would definitely help. It helps to get visibility of the broadcast. Also helps other people that might be in the business of wholesaling and they don't know anything about me or they don't know anything about how to overcome objections. If you could share this, I would really, really, really greatly appreciate it. And then stay tuned, because what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to give you this script, and I'm going to basically show you how you can download it for free. Absolutely for free, and you can use this in your business. All right, so you guys ready? Let's get into the objections, and let's talk first about your mentality going in. Then we're going to talk about the framework, and then we're going to talk about the objections. So we have to have your mentality going into the appointment, then we have the framework, and then we have the actual objections. That's what we're going to basically cover on this call. We got a ton of stuff to cover, a lot of great stuff. So if you could like and share and do this, I greatly appreciate it, so we can get more people in here. All right, so here's the deal. First off, mentality going in. Now think about it. You are marketing for a motivated seller. A call comes in. You build a rapport over the phone with them. Maybe you have a lead manager talking to them. Now you're going to go out and you're going to meet that seller on an appointment. You're going to go meet with that seller. Now, the bottom line is that your mentality going in has to be the attitude that you are going to get the contract no matter what. You are going to do whatever you're going to do. You're going to set up camp. You are not leaving until you get the contract. If you have that mentality going in, and you have that resolve going in, and you have that type of commitment going in, and that type of passion going in to that appointment, well, guess what? That is half the battle. But if you going in and you doubt yourself, and I don't know if I'm going to get the contract, what if I screw up, what if I say something wrong, what if I offer too high, what if I'm too much, what if the guy doesn't like me, what if he asks me a question I don't know, what if he asks me for a big down payment, all that stuff, and you're freaking out, then and you're having all this internal dialogue of what you think you can't do. See, when I go into an appointment, I am prepping myself that, listen, I don't care what the seller says. I am going to leave with a contract. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to turn over every stone and push from every angle so I can get that contract. That is the attitude going in, right? It's an attitude that, because here's the deal, and I heard this a long time ago, right? And I heard this a while ago, is that you are either selling, right, or you're being sold. You are either selling or you're being sold. So what does that mean? It means that if you're meeting with a motivated seller and a seller says, I want to think about it. They say, well, I got to talk to my, I got to talk to my business partner. I got to talk to my sister. I got to talk to my friend. I got to talk to my uncle. I got to go, I got to go do this or whatever. I've got, what other ones we got on here? He goes, I want to sleep on it, right? I want to sleep on it. They go, I want to sleep on it, right? And they give you an objection. They're selling you on the objection. Now, you have two options. You can either A, buy it. That means you're going to buy. Remember, you're either selling or you're being sold. So they're selling you on the objection and you're buying their objection. So they say, I want to sleep on it. And you say, okay, well, I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller. You want to sleep on that. Well, when can I give you a call back and follow up? You're done. You just bought their objection and now you walk out with no contract. What if they say, I want to think about it, right? You know what? I don't want to think about it. I've got a couple other people I want to talk to. Let me just think on it real quick. Over the night, I'll give you a call tomorrow. Thanks for playing. You're toast. Because why? Someone like me is going to come in the next morning, the next afternoon, and I'll get the contract. Because I'm going in there and I don't buy their excuses. I'm there to buy their house. I don't want to buy their excuses. You can't get a contract on excuses, right? You can't get a contract on the rejections. You can't flip an excuse contract and make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You can't do it. So the bottom line is this, is you don't want to buy their excuses. You want to be able to contract and buy the house. So the only way we can do that is we've got to have a mentality going in that we are not going to buy their excuses. You're either being sold, you're selling, you're being sold. So now you're selling, right? You are not going to take that. You are not going to take that objection. So what happens if someone comes to you and they say, I want to think about it or I want to sleep on it? You're going to have an immediate choice. And now if you know these objections, it's obviously killer. You're going to have a choice to either A, overcome that objection and continue overcoming objections, right? Until you A, get the contract and all the objections are eliminated. Or you're going to make a decision where, I've pushed hard enough and maybe I'm just going to give him a call back tomorrow, right? Now, I can tell you, there's been appointments where I have walked away. There was an appointment I did a week and a half ago. I walked away from the contract. First, he wanted a price a little bit too high, and I stopped pushing, right? Now we can't get a hold of the guy, right? Now the guy went ghost. And I know I could have got the contract signed. I could have got the contract signed probably for his price, which was anywhere from 3 to 5. It was like he wanted 145, I wanted 140. I walked at 140. I could have got it under contract for 145. I should have got it under contract for 145, but I didn't because I was sticking to my guns at 140. And I thought I could move him down. I could have got him signed at 140, and even if I turned around and sold the thing for 155, 160, I potentially could have renegotiated it down, possibly, but now I would have been in a relationship with him. I would have had a contract on the house. I would have been, and guess what? He would be answering my calls. So I blew that deal because I was stuck, and for $5,000, I could have got that deal done, but I walked from it. That was my mistake, right? And I went in and I basically blew that, right? I should have got that deal done now that I look back at it. So, and it just gives you, now think of all the appointments that you've been on where you've been sold by a seller to buy their objection and you don't end up getting the contract. It's usually, if you go on 20 appointments and you walk away from 20, guess what? You're not gonna get, you maybe get one out of those 20, and I'm not going to get into personality types and the analytics and all that type of stuff, and on this particular call. But the bottom line is that you're not going to get a lot of contracts. Why? Because you're walking away from deals. So what's the attitude going in? Number one, the attitude going in is that you are there for a mission. And your mission is to get the contract. Your mission is to get it signed. And you're going to do whatever you got to do. I don't care if you have to camp out, you have to stay there. I don't care if it's 3 hours, whatever you have to do, you're going to do whatever you got to do ethically, legally, morally to get that contract signed, all right? So that's number one, right? That's number one. Now, which is incredibly important. Number two, right? We got to talk about the framework. So everyone's got that. Anybody got a question about your mental state on what you do? You got to prep yourself mentally. You're going in for the game. Like you guys watch the Final Four, and these guys before the game, man, they're getting pumped in the locker room. They're psyching themselves out. We're going to go win, and they're going in with an attitude of that they're going to go out there and crush it. They don't go out there with a defeated attitude. They go out there that they know they're going to win, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. Right? They're going to leave everything on the table. Your game time for you, right, that time is when you meet with that seller face to face. Immediately when they open the door and you shake your hand, bam, that's game time. And now it's time to perform, and you are on and you are out. You're understanding their handshake and reading their personality, and you're looking around the house and finding ways to be able to build rapport, and you're working. That is game time where you want to be absolutely on top of your game. The other thing too is you don't want to be out drinking all night and then wake up with a hangover and then rush in to go meet a seller, right? You don't see that with top performing athletes. You don't see it. They go there and they go there on top of their game. Right? That's what when you're in that position. So you guys got any questions about attitude? Then we're going to get into framework, and then we're going to talk about these 16 objections. And stay tuned, because I'm going to give you this script. And I'm going to actually have you can follow along with me with this script. I'm going to give you a link that you can download. I'm actually going to send it to you via Messenger, via Facebook Messenger. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk about the framework. What if the customer starts to get angry with you? Great question. So here's the thing, right? And maybe I should. And this is a great question. And thank you so much for asking it. Here's the deal for you guys, right? And you've got your attitude going in. You have to build a level of rapport with the seller before you can push the seller for this, right? And overcome objections and pushing for to get a commitment and to get a contract. So here's the deal. There has to be you go in with a mental attitude and you're going to go in there and crush it and you're going to win, right? But there has to be a level of rapport. For an example, I got a contract about 2 weeks ago on a property down in Central Phoenix. We're going to do a fix and flip on, right? This is the guy, Thomas. I went in, met with him at the house, great house, and he basically said, "I'm not lowering my price, and I don't want to make a commitment. I'm not going to sign anything today." And so that was when we first met, right? So I was like, okay, how's it going? So I basically made it my focus to build a level of rapport with the guy. So we talked about his family. We talked about where he came from. And here's the thing, right? You want to be a chameleon with the person, right? You want to be a chameleon. Now, so if they have a cat or a dog and you hate cats, well, guess what? Now you love cats. You walk in, you hate cats, you know, but guess what? Now you love, they have cats. You don't walk in and go, I hate cats. People like themselves. I want you to write that down. This is incredibly important. It happens. People like themselves. So understand that. People like themselves. So if you understand that people like themselves, and you have a person that has a cat and you hate a cat, now they don't like you instantly. They have a dog and you jump away and you don't like to get dogs, or you don't want hair on you or something like that. You know what I mean? People like themselves, and because they like people like themselves, they're not going to like you because you don't like their dog. So guess what? You don't like cats? You got to become a cat lover. You don't like dogs? You got to become a dog lover. For that time, you're in the game. The other part of it too is that you want to build a level of rapport. So I'm going to tell you how I got this guy, right? So I got this guy, we were talking, he was in the military prior, I was in the military, so we had a bond there. Then this guy is a man's man. Right? So then I was building rapport. We talked about his son. His son committed suicide because he was doing drugs, and we talked about that whole situation. I really felt empathy for him and the whole situation. I can't even imagine going through that. I really, felt sorry for him in that situation, and we really talked through. I mean, we're talking about some pretty intimate level stuff here. About a guy that's going over to look at his house. You know, and it wasn't at our first conversation. I mean, it wasn't right at the beginning of our meeting. It was through a conversation. And how we got to his son is because on the back patio, there were little basically concrete blocks that he had handprints in dates. And I asked him about each one. Well, so who's this one? Oh, this is my one son. Oh, this is my one daughter. Oh, this is my wife in 1986. And this is my son. And I'll say, good. So what's he doing now? And what's she doing now? And what's going on in this situation? So I'm asking just about these questions. Nothing to do with the house. Nothing to do with the repairs. Nothing to do with anything. Just about these little concrete blocks with hands and dates in them. Right? And I said, hey, are these something that you want to take with you as memorabilia? And he goes, no, they're going to go with the house. So we started talking, and then that's how we got into talking about his son, that brought us to a deeper level of rapport. See, here's the thing, and we talked about being tenacious, right? And we talked about being tenacious with the seller and having, you can't be tenacious and push if you don't have a certain level of rapport. You have to have a deeper level of rapport. If you have that level of rapport, then you can be basically frank with them and you can push a little bit. So here's the deal. Then after that, right, he was stuck on his price and he didn't want to come down. He was at 334 and I was at 290, right? I was at 290, he was at 334. That's the gap. There is a $44,000 gap between there. And he didn't want to, he didn't want to move, and he wasn't going to sign in. He wasn't going to commit to doing anything today. We continued to talk. Well, guess what? The next thing we know, I just probed him slightly on politics. People are polarized by politics, right? Now, I'm not saying you do this on every conversation, but he was polarized, and he's a massive Trump supporter. And guess what? He was a massive Trump. So I built rapport with him regarding that. Now, he might have been a massive Hillary supporter or massive Democrat or massive whatever. I'm going to try to identify whatever case may be, because I'm a chameleon. I'm going to identify in any case may be. But this guy happened to be a massive Trump supporter, and that went down a whole 15 to 20 minute conversation, and primarily of him basically talking about his situation and why he supports him so much and this, that, and the other, and yada, yada, yada. The bottom line is that built another deeper level of rapport. So when I came out with my 290, basically 290 price, and I said that earlier, and guess what? And someone said, what if someone walks out of the appointment, right? Zach said, no, I had large memory sex 2 months ago. Where was someone said about a homeowner is basically pushy, they walk, let me see. Well, someone said about walking out of an appointment. Okay, what if a customer gets angry, right? What if a customer gets angry and whatever? So, or they want to walk out of the appointment. So here's the deal, is that I gave him the price, and he threw up his hands and he goes, no way, we might as well just end the conversation, right? We might as well just end that And I was like, whoa, let's figure out. You obviously want to sell, I want to buy. We got to have some sort of middle ground. We can figure out exactly how to do this. I like the house, I think can make it work. It needs a ton of work and renovation on the property, but, so I was able to basically reel him in so he didn't kick me out of the house, because at that number, he was ready to kick me out of the house. So here's the deal, is that because I built that level of rapport, I basically, when I went back to buy 290, he said, come on, you know what? You don't want this house. You know you don't want this house. It's been sitting here vacant. You know what? And he was telling me where he wanted to go down the street and go grab a beer. I said, don't you want to have a beer and sit there, have an ice cold beer, and know that this thing is done? You don't have to deal with this. Well, I'm going to talk to my wife about it. Listen, you just told me you're a man's man and you're the one that makes decisions. And now you're telling me you got to go talk to your wife about it? You don't have to talk to your wife about it. You know you can sign the contract here and get this thing done. Don't you want to get this off your plate now? Now, here's the thing. I couldn't talk to him like that unless I had that level of rapport. I couldn't talk to him like that unless I had that level of rapport. I had to have that level of rapport. I've even to the point where I'm slapping the guy in the shoulder saying, listen, man, you know you want to sell this house. I'm an able, willing buyer. You know what? The bottom line is the thing does not have a master bathroom. We're going to have to add a master bathroom. If we didn't have to add a master bathroom, and there was a master bathroom in here, I could do your price at the $334. But guess what? The thing doesn't have a master bathroom. We're going to have to go in for permits. We're going to have to add a master bathroom to this thing. And guess what? The price, and he goes, he was stuck at 305, and I got him down from 334. Remember, he's not budging on price, and he's not signing today. I got him from 334 down to 305. And I went from 290 up to 295, and now we have a $10,000 gap, right? Now, I could have walked and I could have said, well, when you think about it, come to me and this, that, and the other. Then I pushed. I said, listen, you can do 300. Let's split the difference. We can split the difference and get the thing done. You could have your ice cold beer sitting over there knowing it's done. I said, or, we could walk away and you could go try to figure this thing out. But guess what? Any investor is going to come in and realize it doesn't have a master bathroom, and they're going to need to add it, and they're going to be in the exact same situation I am. The bottom line is, listen, you know what? At this price, we're not going to make a ton of money on this thing. But the bottom line is that we have to be at a number that makes sense. Why don't we split it down the middle? You're at 305, I'm at 295. 300,000, let's get the deal done and make it happen. No, I'm not going to do 300,000. Absolutely not. I'm not doing 300,000. I'm not coming down another $5,000. Then go back to rapport. So I backed off, and we started talking about, more about the election and more about the politics and more about his son. And he told me about his wife. For another 10 minutes, we went down another path of rapport, and then I went back and I said, listen. You know what? I know you want to get this done. It's $5,000. Let's just get this done. Let's get it done at the $300,000. We'll get it done, and you'll be happy. Now, he said done at 300. Now remember, he's not signing today. So I said, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Thomas is his name. Are you a man of your word? So if I shake your hand on this, and it's a handshake deal, that I got your word on this thing. And he goes, yes, if I shake your hand, it's a done deal, and it's a done deal, right? And I said, okay, it's done. So I said, and then I shook his hand, we backed off a little bit, talked a little bit, I said, great. And then the neighbor came over, she started talking and asking some questions, she needed help with some stuff. And then we went back. I said, listen, we got your handshake, let's just put it finalized, let's get it on paper so I can get the title report going. And I sat down, I said, why don't you come over here? Now I could tell him what to do. Why don't you come over here, why don't you sit down next to me, I'll fill out the contract, we can get it signed done, and I can get this thing done, and this thing can be off your plate, and we're good to go. So then he wasn't coming off his price. He wasn't going to sign the contract. I got him to agree. He's a man's man. I'm going to sign, whatever. And then I got him to sign the contract. It's a done deal, right? Done deal. Now, the property does need work, and it does need a master bathroom, but it'll be a great fix and flip. So, boom. So Edward Gonzalez, congratulations. Closed his first deal. That's awesome. So cool. Got a wholesaler with no cash or credit, and the seller's asking for a proof of funds. What do you do? Who's the seller? You know what? I can tell you, Terrence, I've been in this business forever, right? 15 years. And I have only people that's ever asked for proof of funds is commercial real estate and a seller that is represented by a real estate agent or a seller that's represented by, by a real estate agent or broker or something like that. But if you have a truly motivated seller, I have never, ever, in the thousands of deals I've done with motivated seller, ever had someone ask me for a proof of funds. So Terrence, who are you getting the deals from, right? Who are you getting the deals from? Okay, this is from Mariel. How do you even know how much of the repairs are able to make an offer? We have what's called a repair sheet, right? A repair sheet. But let me give you a quick rule of thumb. A rule of thumb is if the house is basically a newer style house, right? Then you're gonna calculate the square footage times $8 to $10 a square foot. The square footage times $8 to $10 a square foot. That means I'm talking carpet, I'm talking paint, I'm talking fixing up some landscaping and stuff like that. I'm not talking a massive renovation. If you're talking a massive renovation on the property, you're taking down walls, you're adding master bathrooms, you're doing stuff like that. Now you've got to you're going to have to get to the $20 to $30 a square foot range to be able to get that property renovated. So if you got a 2,000 square foot property, right? You got a 2,000 square foot property, or let's say a 2,500 square foot property, and you're saying it's $30 a foot, you're talking $75,000 in repairs. That's 75 grand in repairs right there to get that 30. Now, that's the complete overhaul to get it up to 2018 standard. Granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, 8-inch baseboards, wood floor, new roof, new heating and cooling system on the property, maybe a new paint on the interior, exterior, landscaping, making the thing look decked. Tiles, surround showers, all that type of stuff. It's got to be completely decked. Now, if you do that, right, that's where the property needs a complete rehab, and then you got to take into the account the repairs in there. So this is Robert. Leads coming in through website, but when I call them to talk to them, they do not answer the phone. Okay, Robert, what we do is leads coming in through website, you call them over and over and over and over and over and over and over until you get them 2, 3, 4 times a day. We get leads the exact same way that come in through the website. We call them and call them and call them. We text them. We email them until we get a hold of them. This is Jonathan. How do I wholesale a home that's a multifamily and 2 tenants? They're in Section 8. I have a lady that wants to sell, but I don't know if I can wholesale. This is issue. How do you wholesale a house that's a multi-family that have 2 tenants that are Section 8? That's okay. First off, you want to find out how long is the Section 8 tenant lease, right? Make sure it's market value, which I'm sure it is. And number 2, because it is a multifamily, it's considered an income property. Just look at comparable properties that are similar. You can use a site like LoopNet, LoopNet.com, LoopNet.com, and you can essentially basically look at LoopNet, look for similar multifamily properties, and offer her 70% of that of what those other multifamily or those basically duplexes are going for. So look for similar properties, offer 70% of that number. If the seller takes it, great. Then you can turn around, and those type of properties are hot in the market right now. You can probably sell it fairly quickly. Okay, so let me get into more of the objections. So we talked about, and guys, this is recorded. If you could do me a favor, if you could share this with your friends, I greatly appreciate it. If you could like this, I greatly appreciate it. And we are going to continue going because I want to talk about the framework, and we still got to talk about these objections. And I'm going to give you this sheet right here so you can follow along with me. All right, so, and then I'll get back to some of your questions. All right, so the bottom line is we talked about the level of rapport. We talked about the attitude going in. We have to have an attitude, be tenacious. We have to build a level of rapport and with them, so then you have the ability to push, right, when it comes to these objections. Now we have to understand the framework, and the framework's incredibly important because now it gives us the ability to get an objection, and what we're calling boxing the objection. Now, when we box the objection, we're taking a broad objection, like I want to think about it, and we're putting it and narrowing it down into a specific box, and then we can overcome that objection within that box. So what does that mean? All right, so I'm going to take the pen here. I'm going to go up. So we're talking about, so we're going to box the objection, right? So we want to, basically box the objection. So if we're going to take the objection, right? And now the objection is, I want to think about it, right? And I want to think about it. So how do we take, I want to think about it, and be able to box that objection? Can you move that array, sir? How does it look? We good? Yeah. All right, so we want to box the objection right here. So I want to think about it. So we want to take a broad, I want to think about it, and we want to narrow it down. So how do we do that? We try to nail them in a box. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller, right? And we have 4 boxes. And my boxes are not boxes, they're rectangles. So we have me, we have the process, we have the price, we have me, process, and we have the terms. Okay, so actually my fault, it's contract terms. So we got the contract terms. So to make it easier, so we've got me, the process, the price, and the contract terms, right? So if we take the objection of, I want to think about it, is that better with that light? I want to think about it, and we say, I want to think about it. So you go, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller, and I appreciate the fact that you want to think about it, but what specifically do you want to think about? Do you want to think about the process of how the transaction's going to happen? I just want to make sure I explain that well. Do you want to talk about the contract terms, specifically exactly about the contract? Is it me? Is it something I said or something I did or something that you don't like about me and you're not confident in me? Or is it the price? Let me ask you, out of the I want to think about it, Mr. Seller, and they have, to think about it. I hate that objection, right? So we get that objection, I want to think about it. So let me ask you a question, Mrs. Seller. I can appreciate the fact you want to think about it, but just so I understand, let me ask you a question. Is it me that you want to think about? Is it something I said, or is there something I did? Is it the process of how the transaction is going to happen? Is it the terms? Is there something in the contract that you want to think about that I can help and discuss? Because the bottom line is, think about it. If you have a question about any of these, I'm not going to be able to be here to answer it, and then you're just going to have an assumption. So why don't you can help me on this? And what is it? Is it the price? And now you're taking, I want to think about it, and you're boxing the objection and putting it in one. Now, what if they say it's the contract terms? That's a great one, right? So it's not the price, it's not the process, and it's not me. They like me, they're okay with the process, okay with the price. Boom. Those all come off the shelf, and now it's the contract. Oh, say great. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. What specifically about the contract that I can help you understand that you want to think about? And guess what? I've had people tell me when I ask this, when I go through, they go, well, I know you wanted to close, on the 25th, but I really can't close on the 25th. I need time to be able to move out, of the property, and I also need some money to be able to go find another place, so I can't agree to the 25th and be able to move out. So I got to figure out how I can get some money and be able to move out. Boom! I can solve that problem. Now I know exactly what their problem is. Now I know that's what they wanted to think about. So I'm going, hey, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. What if we close on the 25th? We're able to give you the cash up front, and then we give you 2 weeks or a week, what's called a post-possession, to move out. You can do that? Yeah, we can. That's what's great. We can do that. We can basically close on the 25th or sooner. We can get you the cash, and we can give you a couple weeks to move out. Would that work for you, Mr. Seller? If we could get that, put that in the contract, would you be happy? Yes. Now I got a yes. It's not the price. It's not the process. Not me. And then boom. So listen, I put that in the contract. We say, listen, we'll close on or before the 25th, but we're going to give you 2 weeks post-possession to move out. They're happy. I get the contract signed right there on the spot. Now, I go to the seller. I go, this is the biggest objection right here. I want to think about it. I want to think about it, right? That's what they do. Then they come back right here, and now you got them to sign the contract. Now they come back and they go, well, this is the hard one, right? They go, I don't like you. You're a jerk, right? That's a hard one to overcome. So that one's difficult. You're screwed if they don't like you. The next one is the process. They go, well, I just don't really understand how the whole thing's going to work. So you're okay with the price, Mr. Seller, the terms of everything's okay. So you just want to understand the process of how it works. And then you can explain the process. What we're going to do is we're going to sign the contract. Once we sign the contract, we're going to open up escrow. And once we open up escrow, I'm going to get my file together. I'm going to have a couple contractors over here, a couple investment partners. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get our file complete. And then once we get our file complete, we can move toward closing. And then what happens is you're going to get the net number that's on the contract. Let's say the contract we did for $100,000, right? In his case, $300,000, our example we talked about. So you're going to walk away with $300,000 less the tax prorations. When people say process, right, a lot of times they're not 100% sure on how much money they're going to get at the closing unless you state it. So let me explain, Mr. Seller. You're going to get the $300,000 less tax proration. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Have you paid your property taxes this year, right? And they go, oh yeah, I'm all paid up. It's in the mortgage and all stuff like that. So, well, guess what? Then if you're all paid up on your property taxes, you're going to get real close to this net number. Now remember, a lot of people that I found when they talk about the process, right, or the process of how it's going to work and how they're going to get paid is what more importantly they're talking about. Same with price, is that they think they're going to have to pay commissions, closing costs, additional fees. So even if they agree to the $300,000, they still think they've got a bunch of money that's going to come out of that number, and they're going to end up with $280,000, $270,000 because they got all these fees they're going to come out and pay for it. You know how many people that I have asked this, I want to think about it, and I box the objection and I find out that they think we can sign the contract for $300 and they're actually going to get $270. And then when I go, no. You're actually going to get $300,000 less your tax. You already paid your taxes. You're going to get the $300,000. And they're like, really? I'm not going to, no other fees are going to come out of that? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's sign. And then boom, they sign. And they get the contract signed because they didn't understand. Now here's the big one. So you go, let me ask you a question. I want to think about it. And this is 90% right here. 90%. I want to think about it. Let me ask a question, Mr. Seller. I can appreciate the fact that you want to think about it. But so I understand, I want to know basically so I can help you, answer any questions about what we're doing here. What do you want to think about it? Is it me? Did I say something or do something, but you don't like me or something? Oh no, I like you. You're actually really nice and you've been really kind and helped me talk. Okay, great. Is it the process of how the whole thing works? Oh no, yeah, I kind of understand the process. I sold houses before. Is it the contract terms? Is there something in the contract that I didn't explain right or I could explain better? No, I kind of understand the contract. It's pretty understandable. Or is it the price, Mr. Seller? And 90% of the time, it's going to be the price. And you say, the price. And they go, yeah, it's the price. I know you offered, $300,000, for the property, but, $300,000 just, that just can't work for us. I said, great. I said, but let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. And I know I said, $300,000 for the property, but are you aware that is the net number that's going to come to you? Now, you're not going to have to pay closing costs. You're not going to have to pay commissions. You're not going to have to pay any fees. The only thing that's going to come out of this $300,000 is tax prorations. Are you aware of that, Mr. Seller? Did I make myself clear on that? And they go, yeah, I understand that. I'm not going to have to pay anything. And I understand, but I can't make $300,000 the number work. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Where do we need to be to get the deal done today? Write that down. Where do we need to be to get the deal done today? Where do we need to be to get the deal done today? You should have that in your head. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I understand its price. I offer $300,000. So let me ask you a question. Where do you need to be to get the deal done today? Where do we need to be to get the deal done today? Put that in your brain, because where do we need? And they go, well, and I've had people, where do we need to be to get the deal done today? And they go, okay, 300,000. They come back and they go 305. 305. In the big scheme of things, in our current market where we are now, right? We're in a super hot market. National inventory is low, right? If you talk to pretty much anybody across the country, properties are flying off the shelf. On a $300,000 house, $5,000 is pretty much irrelevant now, right? So $5,000. So where do we need to be to get the deal done today? They go, yeah, I really need to be at 305. 305. So if I could, and this is a nail down close, so let me ask you a question. If I could get $305,000, I don't know if I can get it. I've got to relook at the property. I've got to make sure the roof's okay and the AC is okay. But if I could get you 305, you're good to go and we can get this done today. Boom, yes. You get the commitment, you get the yes, okay, great. You go walk around the house, look at the AC, look at the roof again, go look at that and say, you know what? I can get the 305 done, let's get it done, and then write it up, and then boom, you get it signed. So right there, now we've turned I want to think about it into 3 signed contracts. You know how many people walk away from I want to think about it? Right? Same thing with this one. I want to sleep on it. What? You want to sleep on it? You want to sleep on what? I spent an hour with you. We walked around your house. You want to sell. I want to buy. What's there to sleep on? Let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I can appreciate the fact, and you got to be nice about it. You can't be like that, or they're going to kick you out of the house. You say, hey, Mr. Seller, I completely appreciate it, and I understand you want to sleep on it, but I know you're going to sleep on it, and when you are sleeping on it, what is the biggest factor in making your decision? Is it me? Is it the process, the price, or the terms? And now you're going to box it, and they go, well, sleeping on it, I'm really going to be thinking about the contract terms. Or I'm going to be thinking about the price. Okay, great. I understand you're going to sleep on it and stuff, but the bottom line is, where do we need to be to get the deal done? Where would you be 100% comfortable and be able to sign the contract and be good to go? Well, if you give me 310. Now, what happens if you're at 300 and they say 350? Right? Now, that's significant, right? You have to walk. Now you've got to go, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I understand, and this is now you got a gap of $50,000. That's called your gap. How do you close the gap, right? They're at 50,000, you're 300, so $50,000. I understand, Mr. Seller, I showed you the comparable properties that are as-is comparable properties that are similar. These guys, and I showed you the amount of repairs that need to happen. the bottom line is that, $50,000, I cannot make this deal work with additional $50,000 with the amount of work that needs to be done. So my question to you is this, is how are you coming up with this $50,000? And then shut up. And let them, you just justified your $300,000. You justified it. You showed them comps, comparable properties that have sold, 3 of the lowest comps. You showed them your repair sheet of the properties that need to be repaired. You built rapport with them. You showed them an offer, a good logical offer that you can justify. Now they want $350. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. How are you coming up with that number? What is, so I understand. Am I missing something? What exactly? How are you coming up? Well, I've had people say this. The house down the street sold for $350,000. That's what they say. And you say, oh, and see, because you've done your research, because you've drove around the neighborhood, because you looked at all the comps in the properties, because you're a professional, you go, oh, the one down the street, right? On Charles Street? I know that property. I looked at it. Did you know that property was completely renovated? Did you know that property, they added an addition onto that property? Of like a 500 square foot addition on the property? Do you realize it has a brand new roof, a brand new AC, completely updated? That property, they put $150,000 in that property? And I understand that property sold for that price, right? But it's completely brand new, it's a bigger property. Now, if you were gonna put that much money into this property, my offer should be $270 or less. But I think I'm being incredibly generous at $300. Do you realize that this property, your property, is not similar to that property? Does that make sense to you, Mr. Seller? Yes. Says the chances of someone paying the exact same price for your property as they did as the one down the street that's completely renovated, it's pretty far-fetched, isn't it, Mr. Seller? Yeah, I can see how it's kind of far-fetched. So doesn't it make sense that it would be take my $300,000 offer where you don't have to pay cash, you don't have to pay commissions or closing costs or fees or anything? Wouldn't it make sense to take that offer at $300,000? Because you're not going to get $350. I mean, why would someone pay $350 for a house, your property when it's not even renovated, right? It's not going to even become an appraisal. So now what you're doing is you're getting them to justify their number. You give them to justify it. Now, and 99% of the time, if you know the market like inside and out, so I'm moving all over. So I won't be going back to the board, Chris. So I'm good. So we good? So straighten it out. There you go. It's like crooked. Anyways, so the bottom line is, the majority of the time, the seller is going to give you ammunition on how they came up with their number. They give you a number that's fairly significant, $350,000 or whatever. Oh yeah, the house down. I had a seller. I went to a house yesterday. House across the street sold for $625,000. I drove by that property, $625,000. It's a complete different house, right? I offered them $290,000 for the property, right? Complete different house. And they go, oh, the one's $625,000. And guess what? I took pictures and I printed off pictures of the house that sold for $625,000. And I'm going to just say, and I put it basically, I said, look at this house compared to what you have right now. Anyways, so does anybody have any questions on boxing the objection at all? Okay. If you guys have any questions about, I'm going to give you a link to download this right here. So I want you guys to follow me along with that. So this is RT. He says, Sean, the objection is I have nowhere to go. I have no family, no friends to take me in, and I obviously have no money to get myself a place to live. So what so I want to wait another week to see if I can find a place to live. How do you overcome the person that has no place to go? Okay, RT, love you, man. It's a great, man. You guys, I just want to tell you guys how impressed I am with you this group. I mean, you guys asking questions and stuff. You guys are a really, killer group. You guys have great questions. You're out there doing deals. You're talking to sellers. You know what? I have got this objection before, RT. I can tell you I've got this one before. So here's the deal. This is where you turn from real estate investor to servant. And what does that mean, RT? You turn from a real estate investor to where you have got to solve the problem. You were put in this person's life to help them out of their situation, right? So instead of looking at how can I make a profit off this deal, you're looking at this is a person. They're a person. They're a life. They're a soul. And you are put in their life to help them out of their situation, right? God put you in their life to help that situation. So what I do in this type of situation, I had no family, no friends to take me in, obviously no money. I would say, listen, and I would dive in and do what I can do to help this person out. First thing I do is I would get them and introduce them to a church that's around that area and try to get them help through the church, right? The church has they have like foster homes or places to live or people they can take in, and I would get them in a church family that can take them in that's in their neighborhood, right? And I would try to find a way within my offer to get them as much cash as possible. Even if I only make if it's a $50,000 deal, but I can make $50,000, I would do it to where I would help them get the $45,000 and I could make $5,000 on the deal. I've done that too. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? It's just some things, I'm telling you, it will come back tenfold. You will be rewarded. It's just karma, man, I can tell you. The bottom line is you do the right thing in everything you do, and you'll have no problem in this life whatsoever. So when this situation happens, this is a test, right? This is a test for you, RT. And I will go and I would make it my mission with this lady or this person, and I try to help this person out, get them involved in a church family, help them, take them in and try to help them sell the house and get as much cash as they can out of that deal. So they can potentially get out of the situation. So that's a great question. You got to understand, guys, when we are dealing with truly motivated sellers and they're motivated in situations like this, it's a desolate situation, and you can go two different ways. You can go take advantage of them, use these objections and things and stuff to manipulate and pull all their equity out and take advantage of them and stuff like that, or you can do the right thing. And I feel that my mission when it comes to this is to have people like this, and how can I help them out of their situation, but also as a company profit, right? So how can I now this guy with a $300,000 house, he wasn't in distress. He had another house he lived in and he was fine. It was just a burden on him. And I gave him a logical offer that made sense. He was still going to make out like a bandit and it was fine. But if this guy was in a situation where he's absolutely desolate, he had no place to live and no place to go, I would treat that situation slightly different. So each seller that comes in, there's going to be a different way to be able to handle that seller to potentially do the right thing by them. To help them out. And I'm telling you, you'll get more leads, you'll get more deals, you'll have more success if you come into that with that type of attitude. Now, yes, you got to be tenacious. Yes, you got to go. And the reason you're tenacious is you're going to help them make a decision. Like this person right here, they want to wait. We don't have time to wait, right? We've got to get you in a situation so you can get some cash in your hands, and we got to get you part of a church family so we can solve this situation. If this person waits another week, they may find themselves where someone else is going to, take advantage of them and pull all their 50 grand of equity out of them. I don't know. So that's just the way I do business, so. So one is a price objection. So this was Robert Miller. Sometimes there's two people and they're either disagree or wants to sell to a family member. Well, if a property needs a lot of property, if a property needs a lot of work, so I would say, listen, a word of caution. So I understand that, and they say, hey, listen, we might sell it to a family member. So, you sell it to a family member and the family member comes in, they're going to take over all this work and stuff like that. Are they proficient enough to be able to handle, all the construction that needs to be done on this property? And if something goes south with this deal, are you guys willing to bear the brunt of selling it to a family member that gets in trouble with a house and has an issue? Is that something that you guys want to deal with if something goes south or something like that? Now, if you have two people that disagree, you try to get them both to an understanding. You say, listen, you know what is the most important thing to you, Mr. Seller, to get this thing done? And what's the most important thing to you, to Mr. Seller? And it might be price, where now they've got a price of 300 and they're like, I want to be at 305. So guess what? How can we make a compromise? I'm here. You both want to sell. I'm here to buy the property. You're at 300. You're at 305. How can we make this work? Can we do $302,500? Would that make sense, where it's a compromise in between from everybody? I'm coming up, you're coming down a little bit, and everyone's making progress in between. So you're trying to get them to vocalize where they're, and this process of doing the objection annihilation, basically boxing the objection, is getting them to vocalize their objection. If they can vocalize their objection in a way, then you're going to have the ability to overcome it. All right. What's up, Nancy in Oregon? How's it going? Glad you're on the call. More about square footage and approach. So this is Brian. Would you please point out the direction to learn more about comps? I can tell you. You know what I'll do? Can you write this down, Chris or Aaron? If you can write down, I'll do another live cast, Brian, just on comps, because I think that is you understanding how to make a logical offer and understanding how to present that offer to a seller, I think is incredibly important in this current market, because of the way the market is right now with the in it. And I can tell you, I've had sales guys that bombed for 3 and 4 weeks, and then I really look at their offer amounts, and I realize they haven't adjusted with the current market, and it's something that has to happen almost on a weekly basis. They were getting blown away by other offers. Until we made that adjustment, guess what? A bunch of contracts came in, a bunch of revenue came in. This is from Harvey. It says, what if a family wants to list the property to test the market to see if they can get it before trying? I would tell sellers, and I can appreciate that you want to put it on the market, but as soon as you put it on the market, that changes everything for me, because that actually marks the price for the property. And no matter what, we have to buy it at 75% of that listed price. So you might list it, my offer becomes 75% of that listed price immediately, just because it marks the price for the property. And if it doesn't sell at that price, that means that's not what the value is of the property. And obviously, for me, I've got as an investment standpoint, it's going to be very difficult for me to turn around and get that property appraised at a higher number than that list price. I'm going to have to do massive, significant renovations to be able to make that happen. So I deter people from, if they're thinking about listing it and then they want to try to get my offer, I do something like that. Yeah, this is Zach Johnson, and then I'm going to get into these 16 objections here. Zach Johnson saying the objection a lot of people come up with is Zillow saying it's worth X, and they run down the property and still wanting retail. So here's the thing: if they say they want, now let me understand one thing, Zach, is that the bottom line is that the majority of the people that you talk to are going to want retail. They're going to want retail. That's just the market we're in. We're in a seller's market right now. They're going to want retail. So obviously we want to find a sense of motivation where they need to sell versus they want to sell, right? The other thing is to overcome the Zillow objection and say, listen, Mr. Seller, this Zillow, it does not take in account for renovation. It takes all the properties that are in 1,700 square feet that is sold in the last 90 days and just averages them all out. But it can't take in account for properties that have been completely fully renovated and properties that are not. So what we do is we look at actual properties that are similar condition to yours that have currently sold within the area versus the ones that are all fixed up. Because obviously we want to sell it, obviously fix it up and sell it to be like that, but you can't pay a price that's already sold, fixed up. It's like if you're going to go buy a car and you got the exact same car, they're both, Toyota Camrys, but one's totaled and one's not, right? You can price them the exact same. They're both Toyota Camrys, but one of them's trashed and one of them's totaled and one of them's not. Right? Obviously, which one has a higher value? The one that's not totaled, right? The one that's in perfectly operating condition, and the other one that's totaled. So, exact same thing with houses. You might have houses that look exactly the same, but one houses are brand new, updated to 2018 standards, and one houses haven't been touched since 1951, like your house. Okay. All right. Ooh, you guys got lots of questions. All right. So I'm going to do. Okay, so this one, that's another one. So tenants in the house too. That's another good objection. So if they have tenants in the house, then what we do is typically, if the rent is at a market rent, and it makes sense to sell the property as a rental, then it allows you to negotiate a better price with the seller because you have this problem. And the problem is you have a tenant that is month to month that is sick. So I'm going to purchase the house with the problem that you have in the house. So for that, I need to get a discount on the property. Now remember one thing, Zach, price determines everything. Right? If you get the property at a better price, you're going to be able to sell the property and have a buyer now deal with the tenant and deal with the situation with the tenant, and they can either keep the property as a rental and keep them in there as a rental, but if you get a significant enough discount, a buyer will purchase the property with a month-to-month tenant that's sick in there, and they'll either keep them in as a rental or they'll work a deal where they can move them to another property, okay? So, but the bottom line is you can use that problem. Now, what is that? We just got Dan just got a contract on a property yesterday where the seller has a long-term lease, right? I think it's over like a year or 18-month lease, right? And the guy wants to sell. Well, guess what? That is a negotiation point. That is an issue that we have to inherit with this house. We have to solve that problem, and we have to be able to give them cash for keys so they can move out. We got to find a way to solve that problem. So the only way we can solve that problem, right, is be able to get a massive enough discount on the deal so we're able to do that. Okay, all right, so you guys ready? I am going to show you how to download this. All you have to do is put the word script in the comments, and you're gonna get a Facebook message, and it's gonna give you the link to download this file. Now, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages. So this is 8 pages. So just type in script in the comments, and you will be able to get this. You'll be able to download this. All right. So let's just go over a couple of them here, so you guys know. Paul Bush is on here. What's up, Paul Bush? You been kicking, man? What's up, what's up? Congrats, Paul Bush on here. All right, guys, if you could share this, I greatly appreciate it. Type in script below to get this script, S-C-R-I-P-T, script, in the comments. If you type script in the comments, what's going to happen is a messenger is going to open up and you're going to be able to download. So type script in the comments and you'll be able to download this. So, right? So the first objection on here, and you guys can follow me on this, the first objection on here is I want to think about it, right? And when you want to think about it, that's when we talked about boxing the objection. Boxing the objection. So can you, Aaron, can you put a sticky message at the top to type in script to download this, put a script on there. All right, so just type in script in the comments. You'll be able to open up in a messenger window and you can download this link to the objection annihilation method. All right, so I want to think about it. Overcoming that objection, you box the objection. I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller. Let me ask you a question. What specifically do you want to think about? Is it me? Is it the contract? Is it the process? Or is it the price? Is there something I said you don't like about me? Is it the process of how the transaction happens? Is it the contract? Is there something I didn't say or mention in the contract? Or is it the price? You know, I know you want to think about it. What specifically do you want to think about? Maybe I can help you answer some questions to help better your decision. And once you do that, now they come to price, right? And now once you understand price, now you can understand where they are on the number. Okay, now the next one is I want to sleep on it. Same type of thing, we talked about that. I want to sleep on it. So people want to sleep on it. I box the objection. What the heck do you want to sleep on, right? You want to sell, I want to buy, went through the entire house, you know, hey, I'm here. Remember, remember at the beginning of this live cast, we talked about we have to have enough level of rapport. If you have enough level of rapport, yeah, so type in script below. To get this, you just type in script. You have to have a level of rapport with the seller to be able to talk to them in a manner of like, listen, you want to sell, I want to buy, you know what? Let's get to the bottom line here. All right, you want to sleep on it. So number 3. Okay, I have several other investors that will be looking at the property. Okay, I have several other investors that want to look at the property. So typically on that one, I said, you know, listen, I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller. Honestly, I can tell you, I don't really do any bidding wars. I have a lot of other different properties I can look at, you know, coming up here. I do like you, and I do like the property. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Are you confident that I can get the deal done? And then you shut up, right? Yes. Okay, yes. If the price, yes. Do you believe that that's a fair offer for the property? Right? I gave you a fair price, a logical offer, and it makes sense. Yes, right? So, or they're going to say no. Or they're going to say, no, I'm not confident you can get the deal done. Okay? So it's like, and if you ask someone that pretty straightforward and say, listen, Mr. Seller, are you confident I can get this deal done? Okay. And are you believe that it's a fair offer for this property that makes sense? I gave you the reasoning of the comps. It's a fair offer for the property. You believe it's a fair offer for the property? Yes. Now, if they say no, then it goes back to a price objection. Say, great. You know what? You know, because some people say, well, I have other investors that are going to look at the property. And if you say, is this a fair price for the property? They go, well, I was hoping to get a little bit higher for the property. Great. Where do you need to be to get the deal done today? Okay, Mr. Seller, you know, I gave you the price of $300,000. Where do you need to be to get the deal done today? And they go, well, I really need to be at 305. I really need to be at 310. Okay, well, I can appreciate that, 310. So how are you coming up with this $310,000 price? Is there something I'm missing, something I said? You know, is there something that I'm not, comps is something I'm missing? Why are you coming up with $310,000? And then have them, now they can justify it. And then I'm going to basically, in the other one with other investors, I'm basically going to say, listen, you know what? And you can say this, even if you're brand new, just say, listen, I work with a group, we've been doing this for years and years and years. We have a good group, and the partners that I work with and their investors that we work at bought thousands of houses, and we can get this deal done, okay? So a lot of people that can get involved in real estate, you might get letters from all these other different people and stuff like that. A lot of people, they go to seminars, they get all hyped up, they watch Facebook Lives, right? They get all excited, and guess what? They're going to come out there and they're just going to give you a price, and you're going to get caught up in a contract with someone, and it could tie you up for months and months. The bottom line is I can get this deal done, and I can get a deal done at our $300,000 price. And if you're confident with me and you're confident to get this thing going, the bottom line is let's get this sucker closed. So would you like to close on the 15th, or would you like to close on the 17th? 15th of Friday, 17th of Monday, which would you prefer, right? And that's a closing question. So I challenge, right? If someone says I have another investor, I'm going to challenge them, get them to agree that they're confident with me, get them to agree that they're okay with the price. If they're not okay with the price, then I'm going to go back to price objection. And then from that point, I'm going to neutralize these other investors and have them gain confidence in what we can do. And then I'm going to ask for the closing question. Now, when you do that, I say, great. When would you like to close? 13th or the 15th? All right, now it goes through and it basically gives you the script. So remember, if you guys want this script, if you guys want to, wouldn't that get them mad? No, how do I get the script? If you get the script, type in script in the comments right here. Just type in script in the comments. It's going to open up in Messenger, right? And it's going to ask you to type boom in the Messenger bot there. And what's going to do, it's going to send you a link to where you can download this. So just follow the instructions inside here. So just type in script in the comments below. It's going to open up a Messenger. It's going to enable you to download that. Okay, here's one. What makes you different from everyone else? This is a great question, Mr. Seller. I'm different because I'm honest, ethical, and I get deals done, right? I'm honest, I'm ethical, I get deals done. I've been doing this for a while. And I said, you know what, even if you've only been doing it for a week, you can say, listen, you know what? I'm with a group of people and investors that have been buying and selling properties for years here in the Valley, in Chicago, in California. I have a great team of people around me that accomplish, that produce results. So the question is, Mr. Seller, would you prefer a check or a bank wire when we close your property? And that's a closing question, and you shut up, right? So you basically answer the question, what makes you different, right? And then and that's a question. And they say, how would you like to, and that's a closing question. So let me ask a question, Mr. Seller. How would you prefer? Would you like a check or bank wire? Or let me ask a question, Mr. Seller. When would you like to close? Would you like to close on Friday the 12th or Monday the 15th? Which would be better for you? And those are closing questions. After you have an objection, you always tie it down with a closing objection. All right, number 5. This is a good one. If I can't get this price, I'm not going to sell it. If I can't get this price, I'm not going to sell it. Now, sometimes, here's the thing. Are you going to get every deal? Right? Are you going to get every deal? Oh, you're in Nashville? I was just in Nashville. Great place, man. Love it. Nashville's crushing. I don't have a big investor list. How can I build a large investor list? I'm here in Nashville. Eric, I can tell you one thing. Get the property and the investors will come. If you get the properties, you put it out on Craigslist, you put bandit signs out and stuff like that, you'll get investors come and you'll build your list really, really quick. All right, to get this thing right here, type in script in the comments below. Okay, so the next one, if I can't get this price, I'm not going to sell it. If I can't get this price, I'm not going to sell it. Now, there's a couple different things. Their price might be completely unrealistic, right? So then I'm going to, essentially challenge them on the price. So let me ask a question, Mr. Seller. I appreciate the fact you want $350,000. I get it, right? The question is why, okay? And how are you coming up with that price? And let them tell you how they have come up with the price. And what happens is they're going to give you information that you can refute it. More times than not, they're going to say that a house down the street or my neighbor or my friend or my whatever, they got the price of $350 and I think I should get $352, right? Now, remember, before you go on appointments with the seller, you have to do your pre-appointment intelligence. That's where you're researching the neighborhood, you're looking at all the similar comps around the property, you're having a really good understanding. And you show up 15 minutes before your appointment and you drive the neighborhood. I drove the neighborhood. I was at an appointment yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I drove the neighborhood and in the house that was $625,000, I looked at that house and it didn't look anything like the house of the subject property. But I knew that she was going to use that. I even printed out pictures of the $625,000 house. Now, sucks about that property, the husband, actually the boyfriend was there, but the lady who owned the property, she couldn't get back to the house until 6 o'clock and it was 4 o'clock and I said, okay, we'll have to reconvene. So anyways, but that happens. Now, some people are stuck on price. Some people are stuck on price and that's just the bottom line and you're not going to move them off the price no matter what. You're going to try all these different angles. You're going to build rapport and they're not going to move off their price. But that's just the way it is. That type of person you follow up with. You have to have a follow-up sequence to be able to follow up. There's 3 things that will make your business. 3 things. Leads, conversion, which we're talking about now, and follow-up. If you have lots of leads, you are able to convert leads, and you have a follow-up, then you'll have a successful, prosperous business. So if there's someone that wants retail, I would follow or wants that price. They're stuck on that price and they justify it, and they want to sell and they need to sell. And with that particular case, I would follow up with that person every single week. Because what's going to happen, they're going to talk to a realtor, they're going to talk to another investor, they're going to talk to someone else, and there's a point where they're going to come up with a realization that they're not going to get that price, and that's when I want to swoop in and make that offer. All right. So we got your price is too low, which we talked about that one. We talked about that one. Okay, here's the one right here that I think Zach was saying, I have no place to go, right? Talk to that one. So to get this script right here, all you got to do is type script in the comments below. Type script in the comments, and I'll give that to you. I have to talk it over with my family member, wife, brother, sister, uncle. I hate that objection. That's just, right? I just cannot stand that objection, right? So, I want to talk it over. The other thing is you can eliminate this objection if you ask the question over the phone prior to making the appointment. So they say, let me ask the question, Mr. Zell. Let's say we give you a good price and everything works. Are you the decision maker on the property? And if they say yes, boom, they're good, right? And they say, yeah, we're the decision maker. Then if you go back there and then they try to say, you know, I really got to talk to a family member, wife, friend, you can say, listen, we spoke on the phone. You said you're a decision maker. I came out here. Obviously, we're looking to buy properties and stuff like that. And then you can kind of confront the situation. The other thing we do is this. I need to purchase a property this week. If we can, if each of us can come together with an agreement in terms of price. Here, I'll just give an example. I got a contract on a property that I went out there. The guy's like, I got to talk to my sister, right? I said, okay. I said, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. I appreciate the fact that you got to talk to your sister. Are you comfortable with the contract price, the terms, the process? You're comfortable with all this? Is that what I'm understanding? And they go, yes, I'm completely comfortable. So you're completely comfortable, but you're not sure if your sister's going to be comfortable. Is that what we're talking about? Okay, great. So why don't we do this, Mr. Seller? Why don't we sign a contract right here? I can put you in the queue. I've got several other appointments I got to go on, and if I contract with some of these other properties, I might have to push you out for another month or two. And I don't want to do that. I really like this property, and I'd like to make this work and get this deal done. So here's the deal. Why don't we sign the contract, get it done? I'm going to put a clause in here that says you can talk to your sister, brother, uncle over the next 24 hours, and if you give me notice on or before 5 o'clock tomorrow, then we will either renegotiate or cancel the contract if you so choose. Now, I don't like doing that, but you leave with a contract and you get a commitment. Now, it's about a 60-40. 60% chance it's a done deal. They're just going to move forward with it and they're going to get done. They signed it, they're done. Typically what I found is that is an objection, right? That if you box the objection, that objection goes away. So I would say, I have to talk to a family member, friend. That is just an objection. You say, I appreciate you want to talk about it with them, but I want to make sure you're 100% comfortable. Are you comfortable with me? Are you comfortable with the price? Are you comfortable with the process? Well, I'm really not comfortable with the price of where we need to be, and that's why I kind of want to talk to I said, well, let me ask you a question. Where do you need to be to get the deal done today, right? We've said that. Where do we need to be to get the deal done today? Well, and they go 300, they got to be at 305, right? They got to be at 310, and whatever the number is. Now you're getting to the point. So let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. If I can get you to 305, you'd be comfortable moving forward on this deal. Is that what I'm hearing from you? And they go, yes. Okay, boom. Let me walk around. Let me see if I can make it happen. Let me make a phone call to my partner, whatever. If I can make that 305 work, do we got a deal? Yes, we got a deal. Okay, let me see what I can do. Let me make a phone call. Let me look at the roof again. Let me look at the AC again. Let me look at the house again and see if I can make this work. So then you come back and get it signed up for $305,000. Typically when someone says, I have to talk it over with a family friend member, it's an objection that they have. They're offsetting their thing to giving him time to do whatever. But if you box it, you get to the root of it, that objection will completely go away. Okay, this one, number 10, I'm not sure. And if you guys want this script, by the way, just type in script in the comments below. Script in the comments below. Typing script does not open Messenger. What's up? Oh, yeah, it does. Try it again. Type SCRIPT, script. It will open up Messenger and make sure your Messenger should open Messenger. Looks like everybody else is okay with it. Okay, so I'm not sure I can sell the property at this price. Okay, so where do you need to be to get this deal done today, right? I can appreciate that, Mr. Seller, and I understand that, but where do you need to be to get the deal done today, right? And then figure out the price. I need to be at 325. Say, great, you want to be at 325? Great. I can appreciate that. How are you coming up with 325? Because I showed you the comps, I showed you the repairs, we got to add a master bathroom, we got to do this. How are you coming up at 325? Is that just an arbitrary number? Do you have to do, what's up? So get them to challenge it. I'm not comfortable with the process of the contract. Okay, great. I can handle that, Mr. Seller. I'm still thank you for telling me. But here, let's go through the contract word by word. Let's go through the contract word by word, and then we'll able to help you overcome that objection. A lot of people, now remember, there is 25% of the population that are analytical. That means that they read every word by word of the contract. They're going to take the negotiation slowly. They want to be able to have confidence in you. They're going to want to read every single word. If you brush by stuff and blow over stuff, they're going to feel like you're not trustworthy. So if someone says, the contract, right, or the process, and they're an analytical person. How do you know someone's an analytical person? You know someone's the analytical person because you ask the question, you say, let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. When was the heating and cooling system serviced last? Right? And typically what they'll say is oh, it was serviced in, 3 years ago, and I have all the receipts, I have all the repairs, I got a whole, they have folder of all the receipts of the repairs and when it was done, stuff like that. Typically we call them green, that are analytical type personalities. They're incredibly organized, they're detail orientated, they're very focused on time. You better show up on the right time. And they make decisions based upon facts, based on them versus emotion. So with that type of personality, 25% of the population, you're gonna have to go through word by word of the contract for them to feel comfortable. And if you recognize they're an analytical and you go through the process of the contract, They're going to love you. You're going to be the difference. Okay, this is so Manny, Mr. Seller, listen up. Pay me now or pay me later. Don't waste your time. Mr. Seller, listen up. Pay me now or pay me later. Don't waste my time. That's funny. Pay me now or pay me later. Well, here's the thing. That's an aggressive seller. That's considered an aggressive seller. I said, listen, Mr. Seller, I don't want to waste your time, but obviously you want to sell the house. You know what? Let's just cut to the chase. Where you need to be to get this deal done today, right? And they go, I need to be at $200,000. $200,000 for this piece of junk? You got to be kidding me. I'll give you $120,000, right? And and it's called. Remember, we're a chameleon. We're matching a model. If you have a grandmother that's nice and she's quiet and she's talking and she's petting her cat and you're talking, you don't want to be aggressive and talking to her. Hey, Mr. Granny, you're not going to do that, right? But if they're aggressive and straightforward, and they're from New York and they want to get to the point. Come on here, don't waste my time. You know what I mean? Going through that stuff. Then you want to be you want to match them exactly to the best of your ability. All right, if you want to get to script, you can download it. Just type script below in the comments. All right, number 12. How do I know this is not a scam? Now, that's a good one. A lot of people are afraid of scams and all this type of stuff. Say, hey, listen, you know what? I can totally appreciate this, Mrs. Seller. I've been working with a team of people. We've been doing this for years. And I can tell you, the best thing I can tell you is we work with an amazing title company. Make sure you get a good relationship with a closing agent, a good title company. You know, if you're like in Atlanta, New Jersey, New York, Chicago, stuff like that, and they have closing attorneys, get a good relationship with a closing attorney. If you're in other states and you have escrow companies or title companies, get a good relationship with an escrow agent. So if someone says, how do I know this is a scam? Say, listen, you know what? I work with an amazing title company. Ladies, Eileen Brown. She's been working there for years. What I'd like to do is to get her on the phone with you and give you a confidence that this isn't a scam. They're doing, and everything goes through a title process, and we're not going to be signing any. We're just going to do the contract, and then it goes to a title company. And these guys are all regulated, by the state and the government. So you have nothing to worry about. Someone says, I'm not ready yet. It's happening way too fast. Well, they say, well, I can appreciate the fact that it's not happening, but you don't have to move today. You just have to, we just have to agree, and we can work on your timeline. So let's say we agree on a price and we sign a contract, but you want to move out. Basically, you want to close in 2 months. I can arrange that we can close in 2 months. You have time to be able to find a place and be able to get yourself together and be able to do that. But at least you know the property's sold. Now, imagine if you find a house and you're ready to go and move, and now the property's not sold. What are you going to do? You're going to miss out on that opportunity. But if you know your property's done and sold, guess what? Now it's going to give you confidence to go find another property. So I understand it's happening fast, but here's the thing. You don't have to move out right now. We can work with your time frame to get this deal done. So that's how you overcome that. All right, 15. Oh, okay, I like to run this by my attorney first. This one, I typically would get the property, get the contract signed. So I would say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, I can completely appreciate that. You do not want to deter them from talking to their attorney. Absolutely not. Will this be available for a replay? Yes, we'll send it out for a replay. So guys, again, if you guys want this script, just type in script in the comments below, script in the comments below. Okay, so if someone says, I want to talk to my attorney, first off, you do not want to ever deter someone from talking to their legal counsel, right? Number one. But you do want to get the contract signed. So then you say, listen, Mr. Seller, why don't we do this? Why don't we get the contract signed? As long as you're comfortable with me, you're comfortable with the contract, we get it signed, and I'll give you, till today's Wednesday, I'll give you till Friday to talk with your attorney. You can send it over to him. He has any questions or anything like that, I'd be happy to talk to him. but at least we know I can put it in the queue. I have other appointments I'm going on. I only can commit to one property, and I really like yours. I think we can make it work. I don't want to have to push you out months and months. So why don't we do this? Why don't we sign the contract, get the deal done, and I'll give you till Friday to be able to talk to your attorney. If he says he wants to change anything, we can change anything. If he wants to, if we want me to talk to him, I can talk to him. If he wants to cancel the contract, we can cancel the contract. So. If that makes sense, let's move forward, and then we can pick a closing date. When would you like to move? Would you like to move on Friday or Monday? So, or when would you like to close on a Friday or Monday? So that will get that contract signed for you. Okay, so this one is, I got a realtor friend that said it's worth X, and the tax assessment says it's worth Y. So if they believe that they have a value, if they have a realtor that says it's worth X, then you can say, great, you can go down the realtor route, but understand that you typically get a lower offer from the list price. And in the current market, and I'm quoting Arizona, it's about 94%. So you get about 94%, so 6% is going to come off the top right there. Another 6% is going to come off the top for real estate commissions and closing, and then another 3% for closing costs and fees. Then you're going to have to fix the property, and the current lead time is about 120 days on market. So, and you're going to have people coming through your house. You're going to have to put your house on lockbox. You're going to have your house prepped and ready at all times. If that's the road you want to go down, then I'm not your guy. I'm not your guy. I'm the guy that can come in and I can give you a price, we can work on your time frame, and we can get this deal done, right? And you can get it done in your time frame, and you have to pay real estate commissions and closing costs and fees. And you don't have to guess what price you're gonna get, and you don't have to guess the potential moving out date you're gonna have. You get to know exactly what we're gonna do. So if that's the road you wanna go down, then we can give you a market adjusted price for the property, and we can move the closing and get this deal done. If you want to have a guessing game, then I'd probably go down the real estate route, realtor route. All right. So this is and I've skipped a couple in there just for time purposes on here. If you want to get this script, go to, just type in script in the comments below, script in the comments below, and they'll open up Messenger. You'll be able to follow the instructions and be able to download this script. All right. Now we have that. Does anybody have any questions about overcoming objections? So, okay, this is from Therese. I'm a virtual wholesaler. International phone calling is an issue. Should I put instructions on my website directing sellers to use WhatsApp to call me? I think most people are in Florida have WhatsApp. As I am virtually wholesaling and international phone calling is an issue. Put instructions on my website directing. So you are marketing internationally for sellers, is that correct? Let's put it this way. I've never had to direct anybody. We use CallRail in all 50 states. So here's the thing. If you're virtual wholesaling and you're out of state, out of country, and you're virtual wholesaling in the United States, then you can use like callrail.com to basically track all your numbers, and you can have it actually forward to a Skype number, and Skype is international. I would not direct people to a WhatsApp at all. I don't think that, because they have to download now. I wouldn't do that. Okay, this is a great question. So what if you want to wholesale the property, but you want to get investors in that still live in the property? What do you tell the seller? Again, through the closing, when you're getting the contract signed with the seller, Muriel, what we do is we are going to tell them and say, listen, we have to get our file complete. Part of getting the file complete is we've got to get the contract. We've got to open up escrow with the property to pull make sure we have the pertinent, all the information about the property so we can get the property closed. The next thing we have to do is I have to have a contractor and investors basically our investors that we work with, our funding partners, to look at the property. So I will be scheduling a time with you to come through and look at the property. Is there any times that are more convenient or less convenient with you? Number one, right? And then work with them on that. So then you can work with them. Now they're expecting it and they know, okay, that you're going to have people coming through the property. So then you call them and say, listen, I have several contractors that want to come through. We're going to look at the property. I have a couple of our investor partner, funding partners coming through that want to look at the property. You're able to get them into the property with no problem. The thing is you just have to, talk to them about it so they have the expectation. What about deposit? On Alexander, on motivated sellers, right? We do typically $100 deposit, and that's it, $100 on 99% of our deals. Now, someone asked down here, what if, right here, Patrick Ball said, what if someone wants a large EMD? Now, the only way I do a large earnest money deposit is if it's a smoking deal. If it's an absolute, if it's an iffy, tight, I don't know type of deal, if it's a smoking deal and they want a $3,000 or a $5,000 deposit, I'm going to do it. If it's a tight deal and someone just do it, then I'll pass. I said, you know what, that doesn't work for us. Now, remember, if you have a 30-day inspection period in your contract, which we do, 30-day inspection periods in our contract, then your earnest money is 100% refundable no matter what. So even if you do put $3,000 down or $5,000, it's 100% refundable no matter what. Now, if they want you to put a large deposit and remove the contingency of the inspection and stuff like that, then the answer is no. Okay, this is Don. I'm a realtor and I am a meeting with a seller as an investor, and they hold strong on their price. Instead of walking away and following up later, I flip the script and put on yes, you can definitely do that. And I would do that, and you want to disclose, Don, that you're a realtor from the onset. And you say, listen, I'm a realtor, but I'm not coming here to talk about a listing. I'm coming here to talk about as an investment property that to be able to purchase on my own behalf. So that being said, so if you disclose that, which I highly suggest you disclose that right off the bat, then they understand that, okay, you're a realtor and you're talking to them from an investor standpoint. Now, if they say they're stuck on the price and you say, listen, as an investment, it doesn't make sense for me at this current number to make sense. And I can, for me, it makes sense as an investment at this number. And if you're not comfortable with that number, you don't want to move forward with that number, if you want, I can list the property for you. As an agent now, I can represent you and list the property for you at your number. Now, you got to know, though, there will be commission involved, and our time frame, average days on market are 100 days or whatever. So yes, you can be able to do that. So here's RT objection, cancel the contract. Can they actually cancel the contract? Do we even want them to entertain the possibility of that to cancel the contract? So only if there's verbiage, RT, and only if it's an understanding from the beginning. Sellers may simply want to have another buyer that makes an offer. Okay, great question, RT. Okay, here's the deal. If you have an agreement with the seller that they are going to talk to their attorney, you get them to sign a contract, and they have till Friday to cancel the contract, that's a different scenario from when you sign a contract and there is no cancellation clause. There is no cancellation or out clause from the seller. There is none. So if a seller calls and they say they want to cancel the contract, you say, listen, Mr. Seller, I can appreciate that. Just so you know, I've already started the process on getting this deal done, and I've already got time committed, energy, my staff committed to getting this title reports and stuff like that, getting the property done. So the bottom line is, and first off, we're moving forward, and I I didn't purchase other properties because I'm focusing on this property. And because of that, you know what? We need to move forward on the contract. We're going to go honor the price and we're going to move forward on the contract. And there is no cancellation. I'm sorry, I can't let you out of the deal. So if they come back and they say, well, I'm going to cancel the contract. I'm not going to sell it to you anyways. I found a higher buyer. They say, listen, Mr. Seller, I can appreciate that, but we got two different options. Either A, we can do it the nice way. You can honor the contract that you signed, and I'm going to honor the contract that they signed, and we're going to go to closing, or I'm going to have to get my attorney involved, and it could be a long process. But because you signed the contract and there is no out clause, we're going to win. So if we want to go the attorney route, we can, or if we want to do it the other way, we can do that way too. Either way, the choice is yours. I just need to know so I can move forward and make my decision, right? So when you do that, what happens is now you're basically giving me a choice. Do you want the legal route, or do you want to do basically what you said you were going to do? Now, this happens not a lot. It happens about probably 1 in 10 to maybe 1 in 15 contracts. So in that particular case, you're going to want to have an attorney. And what they're going to do is draft up a letter to the seller and basically notate parts of the contract that they can't get out of the contract. Okay, they're going to be able to do that for you. And typically, once they get a letter from an attorney, they flip the switch real quick. Oh, sweet. All right, so Leo, congratulations. Bought 12K in 37 days last January. Kept going to it back and forth. Closed 2 deals already. Just closed a second one. Just got a second one later Friday. Thanks, Sean. That's awesome. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Okay, this is from Sandy. Since the sellers check their own comps online, first off, sellers don't know what comps are. I can tell you that right now. Sellers do not know what comps are. Sellers think they know comps, and they're going to say, oh, Zillow says it's here, and this, that, and the other, house across the street. You're just going to be better educated than they are and say, listen, you know what? Zillow, I can appreciate that, but Zillow does not take into account of a house that's completely renovated and a house that's trashed. Now, wouldn't you agree if some house is completely renovated and a house is trashed, even though they're in the same neighborhood, even though they're the same square footage, will have different values? You understand that, don't you, seller? Yes. So Zillow doesn't take that into account. And I give the Honda Honda Camry example. If you got 2 Honda Camrys side by side, one of them's totaled and one of them is, a great condition and running operation. Yes, they're both 2 Toyota Camrys. But is there a value difference? Of course, absolutely there's a value difference. Same thing. So what I did, Mr. Seller, is I took all the properties that have not been renovated that are in a similar condition to yours, and these are the comps, okay, that I'm working on. That's how we come up with that. Can you help Art, Aaron? He's asking when the script is downloaded, where do I say it? You receive it in your messenger, in Facebook Messenger. Okay, this is from Robert. Sometimes the seller wants to just not build a report and just get to the bottom line. They just want to know the number and that's it. That's fine. That's 25% of the population. They're a red aggressive personality and they want to have a low number. Now, when you're negotiating with that type of person, Robert, you have to come in with a lower number. If your number is $150,000 that you need to be, you got to come in with $110,000 or $120,000 number, and then you got to negotiate with them. Okay, they come out with $110,000. They go, oh no way, I'm not going to hit the $100,000. Great, where do you need to be to get it done today? And then you're going to go back and forth on your number after you look at the property. But with that type of personality that just wants, don't waste my time, let's go, get forward with it, you're going to have to negotiate with them because their mission in the negotiation is to win. They want to win, so you have to give them a win. And if you come out with 150 and that's your number and that's it, you're screwed, you're at 100, you can't go up. But if you come at 110 or 120 and you move all the way from 110 to 150, now you're giving that seller the ability to win the negotiation. This is from Kyle. Is there a specific equation to find out the correct price to offer? Kyle, it's very, very subjective to the market, meaning there is a typical rule of thumb in the wholesale world that basically says you take the highest comps, which are considered ARV, after repair value, times 70% minus repairs minus your fee equals your offer. So theoretically, if you have $100,000, all the properties all fixed up are $100,000, at 70%, $70,000, and it has $10,000 of repairs, that's $60,000. You have a $10,000 fee, that's $50,000. Your offer would be $50,000. Now, typically, what happens is the properties are going to be, as-is properties are going to be $75,000, $80,000. So you're going to have to use those low comps, $75,000, $80,000, and negotiate down with your repair costs to get down to that $50,000 number. So that's the typical formula. But the issue is when you're in a high demand market and you have a lot of properties you're moving, that number moves up, the 70% does. So instead of 70% repairs, right now we're exiting our properties at 83% of market value, 83%. So if I do 70% less repairs, less fees, guess what? I'm going to have other investors that can do basically 90% less repairs, less fees, and they can sell their properties at 83% of the market, and they're going to outbeat my offer, and they're going to still sell the property and make a profit. So, I'll do another Facebook Live coming up, and that will talk about the market, making offers, and basically what we look at. When the market is stabilized and normal, you make offers off comps. When the market's on fire and it's heated and inventory levels off low, you make offers off pending and active properties. You have to consider, because comps are past, active and pendings are future, and you have to actually make offers off those numbers. Aaron's going to help you, Art, with that to try to get that script to you. Zach, realtors, of course they want to make it hard for you because your competition, right? Anytime there's competition, then realtors are. It's just going to happen. It's just part of any type of business. It's not an issue. All right, what else we got? Would you send a letter personally? If someone's going to cancel a contract, I definitely have an attorney do it for sure. How often I do Facebook Lives? When I've been traveling and running around and doing this stuff, we're going to do a lot more though. Let's come in. So definitely type in script in the comments below, and I'll give you the script right here. That is all the objections, the 16 objections you can overcome that you can use. So just type in script below. All right. It's been almost 2 hours. It's been 2 hours. 2 hours. It doesn't feel like it, man. I could do this all day. Anyways, yes, we do coaching calls. We do coaching calls for Flip2Freedom Academy primarily every 2 weeks. Oh, I see what you're saying, Daniel. You're saying, would you personally give them a letter or have them? I would send it. I would have the attorney write it and then send it to them certified. Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Yeah, Jonathan, when you bought the course, it talks about coaching calls. We do coaching calls every 2 weeks. This right here, we're doing an incorporation of a coaching call / Facebook Live over here, just to kind of give other people an idea of what we talk about. But this is typically what we talk about in our coaching calls. Do we begin the objection overcoming prior to the appointment, like asking them if they have any? Yes. Only on that one, RT Gudge. On that one, when it comes to decision maker, asking them about, say, listen, we're going to come out. Obviously we're looking to purchase property. If everything looks good, if the offer makes sense, we like each other and stuff. Are you the person that's going to be able to make a decision? If you ask that question, then you will eliminate I've got to talk to my brother or sister, uncle, friend, and stuff like that. In the property, just send your best offer. Okay. Have a manufactured home outside a DFW Metroplex that I have an appointment to go on to see, having trouble finding comps. Okay, first off, manufactured homes are tough. Investors don't like them. Make sure it's affixated to the dirt, right? It's to the dirt. And if you're having trouble finding comps, that means investors are going to have trouble finding comps. So what you do is you go out in a mile radius and you go back 3 months, 6 months, and you look for anything that's similar that is sold. And because you're having a hard time finding comps, that means your investor buyer is going to have a hard time finding comps. That means you have to be lower on your price to the seller. Thank you for elaborating on the 70% ARV, because you can't buy properties at 70%. You can't. It's because the market and their inventory is low, you have to essentially increase your pricing. You have to increase your offer. This is from RC Thunder for the RBM members. Could you let me know how to access your PDFs that you made for the video training? Chelsea is made PDFs. They're inside the membership area. So when you actually, for the video that you watch for like the campaign setup for the RVM, you can, inside there on the basically the right hand side is your download section. You can download the PDF there. Yep, absolutely. What if the property leads little to no repairs? It becomes more difficult, right? The way to negotiate is through the repairs, or like the one from 334 down to 300. I got it for 300,000. That one I needed to take down walls. It needed renovations, so older style properties. So Mario, what I can tell you is target older properties. We target here in Phoenix houses that are 1975 and below, because we know they're going to need deferred maintenance on the property. It's going to need deferred maintenance. This is from Rick. Great stuff, Sean. New to the program. $1K a month budget for marketing. How would you allocate these funds to get started? I would send direct mail to distressed sellers. I would send to distressed pre-foreclosures, property tax default, vacant properties. I would absentee owners. That's I would start sending letters, either handwriting the letters yourself and sending them out, or using like Go Big Printing to send them out. My cash buyer zip codes in the last 12 months only show 600 transactions. Does this mean the market is bad? No. 600, that's 600 cash transactions. That's fine. I would just find out who is the majority of those 600 transactions. So there's going to be an 80-20 on the 600. That means you're going to have 50 people that's buying the majority of all the properties, and you're going to have the rest of them buying onesie twosies. I'd try to find those 10, 15, 20 people, 50, whatever, that are buying the majority of the properties and make a connection with them. For contracting in mobile homes, if they're asphyxiated to the land, use a regular residential purchase contract. If they're not asphyxiated to the land, it's literally like buying a house. which is it's a little bit more difficult. And you use like basically is it like a buy and sell agreement, or it's just like a purchase and sale. It's not real estate because it's not connected to a property. Asphyxiated, yes, asphyxiated. It's asphyxiated. How to overcome fear from cold calling? Don't look at the fear of the cold calling. Look at the results you're going to get. So when I first got started, I knocked on pre-foreclosure doors. I went and knocked on their doors. I was afraid to knock on their doors. But I was more afraid of not having success, meaning I wanted to have success, I wanted to be successful, I wanted to make money. So I looked at the end result, and I made the end result my major focus, and then guess what? It allowed me to overcome my fear. So the question becomes, Jonathan, right, on door knocking, doing door knocking, nervous when I go to a house, overcome a fear of cold calling. So Jonathan, any of those fears, make your why. How strong is your why? How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to become successful? What are you willing to do to make it happen? And if the answer is, I'm going to do whatever it takes, I'm going to cold call, I'm going to knock on doors, I'm going to do whatever it takes, and you focus on the end result, what you're going to accomplish, what you're going to do, what you're going to make happen, then you will overcome your fear, right? You will make it happen. Yes, you can cold call motivated sellers, absolutely. Pick up the phone and you can cold call them, absolutely. Most definitely. I mean, you get in front of sellers, absolutely. Okay. All right, so it's been about 2 hours right now. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to run. If you want to download this script, it's about 8 pages, the 16 of the deal structure. Basically, not deal structure, it's the objections, 16 objections. Type in script below script, and you will be able to get this for free. It'll be delivered via Messenger. So I want to thank you guys for participating in this Facebook Live. It was a lot of fun. You guys are awesome, great people. And you got some great questions, really smart and intelligent questions. I really appreciate it. So I will keep you posted. I'll message you guys, let you know via email to join us on the next Facebook Live. In the next Facebook Live, I'm going to cover comps, how to make that logical offer, and how those comps work. And I'll keep you posted when we have that happen. So thank you guys so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. And I am going to sign off. God bless. Have a great weekend. Actually, it's Wednesday. It's hump day, so we can sign off.